Alright, hey guys, it's Vlog build day 4, and as you can see the table has now been moved downstairs into the basement, my gaming area, painting area, and just getting everything set up for the final stages and getting the boards all together. So I finally put some bracings on the sides to prevent a bit of wobble. It's just glued and screwed just there, screws going into the wood just a little ways, just to give a little bit extra strength, stop the wobble. You can see there's a great big gouge that's cracked away there. That's going to have to be filled, and I'll sand that over. So down under here is going to be the little storage shelf, and what I've done is I've got my thinner pieces of MDF, and I've just cut the corner away, and that's going to be able to slot in there like that, and there's going to be the 6 of them going across the bottom, so that's going to be a good area for me to store my scenery. And then up here we have the thicker piece of MDF, and this is going to be our solid surface for the actual terrain board pieces to go on. So what we've got over here, where we've got these brackets, is I'm going to drill through the board and into where the bracket is, because this area has a screw there that goes down into the leg, and instead of just screwing it at the corner, I'm going to screw it down into there, and it's just going to be just a temporary screw setup, really, just so that it can all be disassembled. So I'm not going to be gluing that or anything. It's just going to be held in by the screws, and that's going to sit itself there, and then we'll have another screw down there, and then we're just going to be repeating all the way around, and probably a screw over here and towards the middle. It was fun getting it down from upstairs into the basement. I managed to get it 90% of the way, and then I was stopped by the angle of the doorway and the actual door, so I had to take the top part off. So it was a good thing that I made it adjustable like that. I could glue everything down and have it super rock solid, but it'll just mean trying to move it in the future will be pretty much impossible, so I'm just going to keep with that particular setup. So that's the plan, to get the shelves on, and I also have some siding which is going to sit up about yay high that the terrain boards will be inset in. But that's where we're at, and we'll keep going, and we'll give you a progress report a little bit later. Cheers! And here we go. We're here at pretty much the end stage of the build. There's quite a lot to try and fit in the small space here, but everything's together. We've got the bracing underneath. We've got the shelves all set up with my terrain all being held there. We've got the terrain boards in, and we've got the edging there, which holds everything. The only thing I'm not sure about at the moment is putting some edging along the sides here. I think for ease of sort of getting the boards in and out, I might just leave them off rather than have them fully contained. But yeah, we're pretty good to go. It's been screwed and glued and sanded down. Things aren't 100% lined up and square and correct, but I'll sit down and I'll do a little bit of final thoughts after this and sort of break down how the project's gone. But as far as it goes, it's all together. It's pretty sturdy. It's going to be able to stand up to some decent play, and I'm probably going to grab some metal brackets, some L-shaped brackets or something, just to put along here and add a little bit of stability as well. But so far so good, and I'm hoping that in the coming weeks I'll be able to set up some games and try it out and see how we go. Alright, here we go. Just recording my final thoughts of the table build project, which I finished up today. Aside from just maybe painting the table and putting a few adjustments here and there. As far as it went, it was a fairly original project for me. I'm not a carpenter or have any particular skills at woodworking, so I thought it would be a fun and interesting challenge to actually do this myself and put it together. I guess the number one thing that I take out of this is that it really does matter the quality of the materials that you use. I went with the cheap route. Most people probably will when you're putting together a table, just because there's no point using something expensive when you're still learning all of these various skills and ideas and things and just slapping things together. But I can see how using more expensive materials, good quality wood, would make a huge difference. It would mean less splitting, less cracking, things would be sturdier when you're drilling in, all that sort of thing. Just, you probably get what you pay for in terms of that. And in the same note, the tools that you use, things would have been infinitely smoother if I had the proper equipment, bench saws and drill presses and things like that to be able to get everything lined up 100%. Where you measured was going to be exactly where everything was going to line up, and you could get everything 100% square, rather than having to rely on just eyeballing it and just trying with a hand saw or a jigsaw trying to get things straight. So, those two big factors are the big takeaway for me, is the materials and the tools. So if I were doing this again, it would be after I had invested in those two things. I think it would really add to the finish. One of the difficult points as well, when you're doing a lot of the repetition, was that it's very easy to sort of get bored when you're drilling the same holes and screwing the same things and all that sort of thing. You start to take a few little shortcuts, and that can really be a bad idea when you're dealing with sort of fragile, splintery wood, and things can get away on you a little bit. And so there were a few chunks taken out here and there, not to mention a few chunks taken out of my poor hands. Yeah, so taking your time and concentrating on the job at hand, it's very important. I've tried not to rush it, I've tried to be methodical, but sometimes there's not a lot you can do with the materials that you have. A piece of wood splits right down the middle. You either have to use a whole new piece or try and glue and screw things together, and I did a bit of both in this project, just because there was nothing to lose by trying it. So everything's gone together pretty nicely. I mean, it's sturdy, it's going to do the job. I've got it set up exactly as I was wanting it to be, which always comes as a pleasant surprise when you're trying something new, how it actually turns out. And it's not going to win any awards for being the most amazing gaming table ever, but I've already had some people over to check things out, and quite impressed with it. So for your amateur level gaming stuff, it's quite cool to have your own table set up and that sort of thing. And having the shelf underneath it is great for storage as well, because it frees up a bit of space for the rest of the hobby room and just means things don't look so cluttered. So yeah, I gotta say that overall I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I suspect I'll probably be tinkering around a little bit. One of the things with a lot of projects that I do is that I'm never fully happy with it. I guess that's the sort of artistic side of me, is that some things are just never finished. You always want to tinker away and just improve things just a little bit. So, I might end up replacing bits here and there, strengthening things up and this, that and the other. And also, once you play some games on it, you'll see where things could be improved or changed, just to help with the flow of the game, what pieces get in the way and what you can add or remove to things. So yeah, it's one of those things that I'm happy to keep pottering around with it as well. So as you saw in the earlier pictures of my plans, they were just basic, just really basic, and there's any number of ways you could have elaborated on it to make it more complicated or different, using different join types, tongue and groove, all sorts of things. Like, you could customize it and do whatever you want. For me, it was just keep it as basic as possible. So that's the way that I went, and it's turned out pretty well. So there we go. I hope that you've either gotten a chortle or found this useful in some way, and I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has any. But other than that, I would just say give it a go. You haven't got a lot to lose just by giving it a shot, and you could end up with something that you're really happy with at the end of it. So there we go, that's the end of that project, and now with 8th edition 40k coming along, and hopefully with things settling down here, I'll be able to look at getting a few more things done. So there we go, and good luck with your gaming and modelling, whatever it is that you're doing, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks very much.